NYAB published its Q1 report today, and here with me is company CEO Johan Larsson to talk about it. Welcome, Johan.
Thank you, Apeli.
So, if we start with the basic question, would you like to describe how the first quarter of the year went from your perspective?
Q1 takeaway is of course quite simple with a performance like this. Strong growth and profitability in our weakest quarter. Of course, very promising for what's to come of this year. More than satisfying order intake as well, just as important during a quarter like Q1. And of course, it's quite remarkable that we follow up our 2023 cash flow of like 22 million euro with a cash flow of 13.5 million euro in Q1, which gives us a R12 cash flow of close to 35 million euros. So that are the main takeaways.
Yeah, like you said, you had a very strong start to the year, and regarding the development, revenue in Finland was more or less in the last year's level, but in Sweden, revenue almost doubled compared to the last year. What were the main drivers behind it?
Main drivers, of course, is that in Finland, there are a bit more slowness in the market. In Sweden, it has been moving in a positive direction for our addressable markets since like October, November 2023. So that is the main factor. And of course, some bigger projects in Sweden as well. Related to this is that I'm very happy that our cross-border collaborations has improved. Revenues aren't earned in Finland, although Finnish organizations are contributing to them. So, but this is like what we expect for the rest of the year also. We expect that Finnish market, and in particular wind, which is has a decent market size in our whole Finnish portfolio, so to speak, to be very slow. That's what we have to wait or expect.
Yeah, exactly. Regarding that, your busy season is approaching, and the order backlog also grew from the comparison period. But overall, how would you describe the current demand situation and outlook? And are there some differences between the countries or the business areas?
Best view I can give on that is, of course, we have followed inflation and interest rates quite specific. They are of great importance for development of the market because we get squeezed between clients and subcontractors. We can be very happy that we don't get squeezed by our own financial position, because that's strong. A lot of companies consider our peers are squeezed from their own financial position. But I would say that it moves in the right direction. There's a quite good demand overall from all our addressable markets. There are some slowness in the Finnish market, and particularly in energy, and to be even more specific, it's in wind. That's a market we, by the way, hardly address in Sweden. We don't do wind power projects to any extent in Sweden. And within infrastructure and industrial construction, the market is quite good where we are now. It's of course beneficial for us that we have the mix of public and private investors. Public investors are the ones who are the most reliable when we are leaving these bad times hopefully behind us. And Yeah, that pretty much sums up the demand. We clearly see that like the pipelines are good. There are a lot of tender and bids ongoing, so we are hopeful, and even more so with Riksbanken's besked today of lowering rate with 0.25.
So if we summarize the situation, it seems like it's getting brighter in most of the business areas, but in the Finnish wind, there is some delays still.
Yeah, that sums it up quite good. Thankfully, of course, we're not exposed to housing. That's the troublesome market. The rest are quite fine and up and running, and has clearly improved over the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, exactly. Then you signed a letter of intent for the acquisition of Duke and Anläggning in March, which you are expecting to get finalized during May. Could you tell about the background of the acquisition and what it brings to NYAB?
Yeah. As stated earlier, we are extremely selective in our M&As. This is in many cases a typical suitable investment for NYAB because it brings edge competences within a niche we expect to grow. In this case, it's within marine works. And an acquisition like that or a company like that, if we add our industrial knowledge and brand to it, we can improve that acquisition quite heavily itself, and also improve already ongoing businesses in NYAB through synergies and so on. It speaks for itself, but early in the second quarter, after we left the first quarter, we signed a dredging contract to a value of 174 million Swedish kronor, which is approximately 6 times the annual revenue of this acquisition. So that's not far from what we did with Power Force that enabled us to be competitive on our order line.
Yeah.
So that's
seems like a good fit for you then.
Yeah, it is a good fit, and many of our skilled project employees know this company, has worked with it, and so on. So we knew culture and what we would add and bring from both companies to the table that would lead to an improvement. So it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We'll see if I have to eat this later on.
We have talked about the M&A being part of your strategy, even though you are not a buy and build type of company. But how is the M&A market situation looking from your perspective overall?
Yeah, of course, a lot of companies who has high capex business models and so on, they need capital injections or they need to sell their company and so on. So that of course leads to more targets than usual. Anyhow, since we view this not too opportunistic, the M&A market, it doesn't have much of an effect of us. Of course, there are more possible targets, but there are anyhow so many targets. So I would say that we are so true to growing without increasing our risk. So what's mostly valuable for us is that we see that the markets are stabilized. I mean, they're addressable markets for the targets and acquisition. That makes it a lot easier to do good acquisitions without increasing risk.
Yeah. So you are staying to be selective regarding the M&A, and let's see if something materializes from there.
Yeah. I mean, we as we have stated, 1 to 3 acquisitions annually is our goal.
Yeah.
And a year with more or less extreme uncertainties and macro headwinds from everything, we might not reach that goal in the future, but it's a lot more likely than not. So it's an important part of our growth journey.
Yes. Lastly, at the end of April, your AGM approved the parent company's re-domiciliation to Sweden. Could you tell about the status of the process and its planned schedule?
Yeah. Status is as announced, or the schedule is as announced. We're aiming for end of June for both redomiciliation, listing, and of course the delisting hopefully takes place prior to the listing. Of course we don't fully control the timeline, and in part it's in the hands of authorities and the marketplace, but so far so good. And I would say from where we stand now, it's as good as can be.
Yeah. So if nothing major is not coming up, the listing in Sweden will take place in the 1st of July.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Or end of June. I still think that's on the table, but
okay.
it makes no difference. But
yeah. Thank you, Johan, for the interview, and good luck for the busy season.
Yeah, thank you very much.